Okay, we're going to review adding fractions, and the first example is 7/15 plus -5/6. So if you notice, I've already found the least common denominator or a common denominator. Either way, as long as you have a number that both the two denominators can evenly divide into, then you should be able to add or subtract your fractions. So in this case, we have 30 for my least common denominator, and 15 times what is 30? So how do I get from 15 to 30? How do I get from 6 to 30? Whatever I have to multiply by, I also have to multiply by my numerator. So to get from 15 to 30, I multiply by 2. So therefore, I need to multiply 7 by 2. So I end up with 14 on top. Now notice 14/30ths would reduce to 7/15ths. Okay, we're just changing this so that we can add them to the two numbers together by finding something in common. 6 times what is 30? Well, 6 times 5 is 30. So if I have to multiply 6 times 5 to get to 30, I also have to multiply the numerator by 5. So 5 times 5 is 25, all right? And this whole thing is negative. So if I take 14 plus -25, using integer operation rules, you subtract and take the sign of the larger number, or the bigger number. So we're going to say that that would be -11, and you leave the denominator. That's 30. Okay, you don't add or subtract the denominator. Okay, once you find a common denominator with adding or subtracting fractions, that is your denominator, unless you simplify at the end. But here, this is already simplified. Okay, next, 9 and 12. Well, let's take a look. 9 and 12, a common denominator for 9 and 12 would be, 36. If for some reason you can't figure out a number that both 9 and 12 divide evenly into, well, then just multiply them together and that'll always work. You might just have to do more simplifying at the very end. So what do you have to do to 9 to get to 36? Well, you multiply 9 times 4. 9 times 4 is 36. So therefore I have to multiply 5 times 4. 5 times 4 is 20. 20/36 is the same as 5/9. It's just 5/9 has been simplified. Over here, remember this is a -5. So 12 times what is 36? Well, I had to take 12 and multiply it by 3 to get to 36. So I have to also multiply 5 times 3. So 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, and it's negative. So 20 plus -15 is going to equal -5. I'm sorry, +5, because 20 is larger. You subtract them and take the sign of the larger, and you leave the 36 at the bottom. So your final answer is going to be 5/36 positive. Okay, because 20 plus -15 is +5. All right, let's take a look at subtraction. So with subtraction, same thing. You're doing the exact same thing, and we were actually doing subtraction at the top. It just looked like addition. You just find a common denominator again. So we've got 15 and 3. Well, 15 goes into both 15. Well, 3 can go into 15, and 15 goes into itself once. So we'll use 15 down here and 15 down here. So my answer is going to end up with 15 as my denominator. I don't do anything to these two other than find the numerators. So I take 15. How do I get from 15 to 15? I multiply by 1. How do I get from 8 to up here? It's just 8 times 1. Okay, and then 3 times what is 15? Well, 3 times 5 is 15, so 2 times 5 is 10. All right, 10/15 reduces to 2/3, and 8/15 equals 8/15. So the denominator for our answer is going to be 15, and 8 minus 10, or 8 plus -10, is going to give me -2. So my final answer is -2/15, and it has been simplified. All right, and then the last one here. Well, we have 1 3/8 and 4 1/2. Now, there's a few different ways you could do this. I'm just going to continue to follow the same method. So let's change this to an improper fraction. So if we take 8 times 1 and add 3, we end up with 11 over 8 minus, let's just rewrite it, 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9, 9 over 2. Now we look at the denominators because we're subtracting. Well, 8 and 2 are not the same, so we need to find the least common denominator, and that's going to be 8. They are both divisible by 8. So get that subtraction sign in there, put the 8's at the bottom. Well, 8 times 1 gives me 8, so I just multiply 11 times 1. And 2 times what is 8? Well, 2 times 4. So I multiply 9 times 4, and I get 36. Now, this is really the same thing as 11/8 minus 36/8, so plus negative if you want to do it that way, or 11 minus 36. So you're just going to subtract the two numbers and take the sign of the larger number here. So it's going to be a negative number. The denominator is definitely going to be 8, and so 11 plus negative 36 is going to be negative 25. And that is your final answer. There is no number that you can, that's divisible by, that can evenly go into negative 25 and 8. So this is simplified.